Hey, yo, welcome back to AIW's The Card is Going to Change. My name is Ronald Two Legs, and as always, I'm joined by AIW owner John Thorne. What's up, Thorne?
Yo, what's up?
Nothing. Back again, and we are joined with another guest on the pod here today. We got AIW superfan, IW guide host, one half of the Mysterious Benefactors, Mr. JGold, Josh Goldstein. What's up, Goldstein? What's up, JGold?
What's up, fellas? First, Thorne, I know you're upset that it's not the other benefactor.
When I got my my rundown memo in my email and said the Goldstein was coming on, I thought it was going to be Sam. What's up?
Yeah, he's very unreliable.
We couldn't afford Sam this week, huh? Two Legs?
No, he's been kind of jet setting in Manhattan. He was at the Knicks game the other night, the Ranger game, and you guys have gotten me on a dinner club night. I am about 6 sakis deep and 2 beers, so I am ready to roll.
All kinds of weird food I saw you eating, but no, we're booking Sam. Believe me, I thought it would be easier to have one at a time and kind of be able to stretch our guest list out a little bit. You know what I mean? Get a couple weeks out of
yeah. You get Sam ripping me apart, so you can have him on his own, so he doesn't have to destroy me every chance he gets.
Going hard on a Wednesday night, dude. I'm on my 6th or 7th bottled water.
Yeah, you guys in your water, and I'm going to be all bloated tomorrow for work. I have a couple of in-person meetings, and people are going to be like, "What happened to your face?" And it's just sake bloat.
we were laughing because like we said, we've really been trying to keep weekly with the podcast and kind of keep it updated and get new stuff coming out. And we had some stuff going on earlier in the week, so we pushed it back a little bit. And Josh was like, God, "I'm kind of busy about this time," and me and Thorne were like, man, are we that old that we're like, 9:30s, like pushing it? We're laughing about it, like.
Listen, I'm at this point in the suburbs where, like, if people ask me to do anything, I say yes, and then I'll work it out the next morning. Like, I have been at restaurants where the next day I've had to use the bathroom on the Long Island Railroad, and I have been humiliated doing that. So I never say no to anything. I'm just like, whatever tomorrow brings, I will take the consequences. So I have dinner tonight, and you guys will worry about it tomorrow.
Hey, we're here for a short time, we're here for a good time, not a long time.
That's correct.
We'll see. We'll see if we're here for a good time, even though we couldn't get Sam.
Right.
We're gonna have to settle for Josh.
Come on now.
Just kidding. You guys have been great supporters of AIW, and Two Legs and I were talking about kind of, I'm not even gonna lie, we were Nick Sanka came in December and was like, man, podcast has really been sucking lately. He's like, you guys do like one podcast a month, and all it is like previewing the show. So I kind of have instilled Two Legs with some power to kind of spice things up a little bit here in the podcast world. So, we came up with, or he kind of presented this idea of like, after a show, maybe we reach out to, a fan and get their perspective on things instead of us just kind of like boringly running it down from our perspective. We thought it would be good to kind of get an outside view, and we can kind of go back and forth on things and see if it works.
It's a great idea.
And if it doesn't work, you'll be the only one that ever does it. So
yeah, people all say they fucking hate me. Everything is fine. It's fine. I'm used to that anyway. So
no, but like I was saying, you and your brother have been incredible supporters over the years of AIW. Always, treating us way better than any of us deserve. Infamously, I'm sure we've talked about it on the podcast, you guys renting out an entire bar in New Jersey for the roster to drink. Anytime you guys had come into Cleveland when we were doing the dive bar, you guys were doing bottle service and competing with Scott Random, having competing VIP booths. Always just go above and beyond for everybody, and everybody certainly appreciates it. So, that's...
Yeah, we love you guys. You guys are put smiles on our faces, so what are we supposed to do? The best way to kind of show how much we appreciate it, is to do that. So whatever we can do, it makes us happy, and you guys, your success is great to us. So whatever happens in the future, it keeps going. That's all that matters.
Yeah, we hope it keeps going. I mean, this was this show was it was full of some doom and gloom circumstances, for sure. With the Stan Hansen thing, which just, I mean, like there are people like arguing with us on Twitter and like all this stuff that just didn't know the context of anything that happened. I know that you saw a lot of that. But,
those texts were those tweets from that person, whoever was coming after you. I didn't even really know what they were saying. Like, all I could say to them was, "What the hell are you talking about? Like, what is wrong?" Okay, the guy he canceled. What do you want? What response did you want?
Right,
did they want you to do? Did they want you to be like, "Let me write an obituary for this dude"? No, he canceled. We have to make best of it.
Right? And
just people are insane.
I mean, they were like talking like he was like on his deathbed or something. Like that was. That was not the case, and like that's why we even said, he was feeling a little bit better. He just listen. Like I really don't know. Like I'll probably never know the whole story and the whole thing, but he started getting a little unsure of himself about, I don't know, like 2 weeks before the show, and then we had to work out a deal again. You know what I mean? Like I was like, we're like 2 weeks out, man. Like. Because he had traveled for something, and I don't know if he got confused in the airport or something, but he called me and he was very just like, I can't do the airports anymore, like, and I was like, what are you talking, like, what, I don't know what you're talking about, like, and he was,
look, the guy was on Saturday Night's Main Event in the 80s.
Yeah.
What did they expect in 2024? This dude's supposed to be doing, is he supposed to be, have all of his faculties, and he's in his 70s. I think he's probably almost 80. Like, what did you expect from him?
I think he's 74, but so like he was a little unsure of himself, and he had wanted to pull off, and then called me back, and he had allegedly, I don't know if this has actually happened or not, booked his wife a plane ticket because he was scared to travel. Like, he was scared to travel alone based on whatever experience he had at this point, 2 weeks prior to the event. And then, we were all good. And then, he wanted me to book his hotel room. And I was just like, I'm going to book it, as soon as I know that you're at the airport. It's not that hard to get you a hotel. And he kept calling me wanting the hotel. And I said I was going to book the hotel. And like, thank God we did not do this, because I don't even know how you reverse it. But he wanted to be paid in a cashier's check. I don't even know if you can reverse that. You know what I mean? Once you put it in somebody's name. Thank God we did not do that. And then he had said that he felt not great and had a fever, and then which we alluded to last week on the podcast. It was just kind of a weird call, and then I called him back on Thursday, and I just said, hey, I'm just following up, and he's just like, I can't do it. I'm feeling a little better, but I'm sorry, I just can't do it. I'm sure you're going to survive. I just can't do it, and I wish you luck with the event. I'm sorry. And he's like, I'm sure this is going to leave a bad taste in your mouth about Stan Hansen, and I apologize about that, but he's just like, I'm sorry, man, I can't do it. I don't know if I can be doing these things anymore. And I was like, Stan, like, the show's in 2 days. Maybe you'll feel a little better. I bought this first class airfare. I've done everything that you have asked of me. And he's like, I know, and I appreciate it, but I'm sure you'll survive. That's just kind of how he left it. He's like, and I, like, what else am I going to do? Like, I literally like hung up, and I was just like, I have to release a statement right now. So
you can't force somebody to get on a plane. You know what I mean? As much as the people on the fucking Twitter want you to, there's nothing you can do.
Well,
you can sit there and look at the receipts from the hotel and from the plane that the plane ticket you bought. That's about it.
Well, yeah, I mean, and we had got plane tickets, and you have to buy all of the the signing materials and everything, the 8x10s and all that stuff. You have to get that in advance. So I mean, we were in a good $1,500. So I kind of was like. I asked him, but like, that's all I can do, and if he said no, and I spent my Friday trying to get a refund, which was denied, and all I could do is get credit for the ticket, but the way it sounded is he didn't really, like, he might not be doing too many more appearances. It didn't sound like he was interested, in trying to make it up. I think he's just kind of realizing he needs to wind it down. Which is, he's earned that. But
But one of the things that sucks, you guys, any of these older wrestlers who come in, any of these stars that come in, the appreciation that the fans from AIW always give these guys, unfortunately, he doesn't even realize how much people wanted to see him. Like my God, like Stan Hansen, I have a Stan Hansen figure in my collection. Like, everybody wants to see Stan Hansen. It's a shame that he doesn't even realize like how much value he would have brought.
Does, but it was just, he's older, and I think something happened, when he traveled a few weeks prior, and he was just like, I should stay home, and maybe he was sick, maybe he wasn't sick. I don't know, like he told me that he just wasn't feeling well. Like, and that thing on Twitter was like making it sound like, he was like had some sort of like really bad sickness. Like, he just said he wasn't feeling well. It wasn't, anything. He was just at home, he wasn't at the hospital. He didn't go to the doctor or anything like that.
It was somebody trying to paint you as like the bad guy in the situation.
Yeah.
Like, have some respect for Stan Hansen. He's like on his deathbed. How dare you, accuse him of not coming?
Which is not the case. And like, it's like,
right.
I wasn't trying to.
For anyone that doesn't know,
I wasn't trying to bury him at all. You know what I mean? I was just like,
yeah,
we have to put out what happened. I didn't lie. I didn't try to paint him in a bad light. It was just, unfortunately, it's, cost of doing business, I guess, like sometimes these things just happen. But we were really concerned, just that's the first time we've gone into that market without a legend, and especially we've never had a big cancellation to, in that market. So we didn't know how it was going to turn out because, we always kind of internally think that you need that in Akron. So we were real concerned, and tickets weren't crazy, which was another concern, for Stan coming. That was a concern as well, you know what I mean? Like, tickets weren't going that crazy, but we put that statement out there, and I don't know what happened, but tickets went crazy, so like a lot of people came out, and tickets really kind of progressed rapidly, Thursday, Friday, and all day Saturday. I mean, you can ask Two Legs. I'd be looking and checking the numbers, and like they were just going up like crazy while we were setting up at the venue.
Yeah, because Akron's no worries. Akron is one of those. It's Eventbrite, so the tickets are through us. So it's not like at the Shrine where you're just checking Ticketmaster to see what's available. Thorne had the numbers and was watching them get sold. Like, geez, it was just kept going up all day.
I feel like one of the things that I've noticed, and this is from a completely outsider being on the East Coast, is when you guys put a call to arms out, and it happened in December, and I think it happened here. When you put a call to arms out to the fans in Ohio, everybody seems to respond. It's quite kind of like, it's when you're looking from the outside in, you're like, oh my God, these guys said, hey, we couldn't do it, but we really still need to sell this place out. People seem to they seem to rally around the cry when you come out and do that. And you don't do it often, and when you do it, people respond. And it's very interesting for me to hear, like, if I went to a show in Ridgefield Park, and it was me and my daughter and two other dudes and one guy with a Lucha Underground title, and there were four of us sitting in the crowd, and they put a call out, and no one went. You guys put a call out, and you do 500 in Akron. It's pretty impressive. Yeah,
and I mean, there's a lot of you have to, a lot of the guys really were hustling. We have a lot of, a lot of talent is from the area. You know what I mean? Tyler Jordan, Shelby Wilder, Sam Holloway, Dom Guarini, Trey Lamar. Josh Bishop. A lot of everybody was pushing. You know what I mean? Locally in the market, mm-hmm. Pedro. Was hanging posters and putting flyers out and stuff like that. So, we were overjoyed with how it turned out because it was was very tense. It was also very tense because my real life boss was coming to the event, and I was terrified all day of what that experience was
Really?
going to be like. Because you just don't know how real people are going to take to an AIW live event, you know. So that was.
Well, so what happened? So what was the result?
Absolutely loved it. Thought it was the funnest thing she's done in years. Like couldn't ecstatic, you know. And she was like,
"Wow,
why have you been hiding this?" I said, "Well, I haven't really been hiding it, but I've been advertising it." And, you know, there are a lot of people that have gotten a lot of guys have gotten heat at their jobs for being involved in wrestling. Josh Prohibition infamously had to retire for 2 years until you know, he got tenured. You know, I've had to wipe Duke clean off of stuff. You know, other guys have gotten, you know, you never know. If somebody just doesn't like it, they don't like it. They don't want, you know, to be associated with it. You know, sometimes things are a little overly violent, or you know what I mean, a little riskier. So it was a pretty scary day for me, you know, especially when you got Paul London on the card, who's known to whip real garbage around. You know, there was a very strict talking to everybody. I said, these are the, you know, because the seats are assigned, and I said, these are the seats. Nobody comes over here, you know, like. It was very scary.
And then people are asking, they're going, so we're standing there and everyone, and this is a company-wide meeting. I mean, they literally round everybody up. Get over here. I don't care if you're the guy sweeping the floor. Everyone get over here and shut up. And he goes, these are the seats over, you know, on this edge. And then somebody kind of questions, like, so don't go just like over by the koi pond or just like on that side. And Thorne's like, no, let's just cut the building in half. Do not go on this half of the building.
Yeah, I was just like, nobody on this side of the building. You know, because
you say that. I have the global chief of human resources of New York Life Insurance today, and she came over to me and she goes, "How is your podcast doing?" And I go, well, you know, we're number 2 in Norway, like as a joke to like get to pop her, and she's like, yeah, you know, I listened to some of it. She's like, it's good. And I was like, you listen? I couldn't believe this woman is the chief of human resources of 11,000 employees, and she comes and tells me she listens. I go, well, if you really like that. I go, the card is going to change. I go, I'm going to be on it one day.
Yeah.
I go, so I'll tell you when it's on. And she's like, I promise you I will listen to it. I could not believe it. That's a total different story from your side, where you don't have to erase me from anything. These people all are interested.
She went down a rabbit hole. She's like, you have a podcast? Like, all this stuff.
Right.
I was like, oh, my God, this is my worst nightmare. You know, like, she's there, like, with her husband, and it's just like, you know, I'm like, I don't know what they are going to think. You know, they're... You know, and she's like, you know, you're really missing out on the suburban housewife market. I feel like there should be like, she's like, I feel like people from like country clubs would really enjoy this. And she's like, this is so fun. And I was like, you are from like a totally different demographic than the majority of the people in the crowd. But, you know, I did take her feedback, and I went to, you know, the student chat, and I just said, listen, you know, this is a person that's probably never seen live pro wrestling in her life, and thought it was one of the funnest live experiences she's had out on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's not like she's, you know, not like an old lady. She's younger, you know what I mean? But like, she's from a totally different walk of life than, you know, the majority of, you know, what you would stereotype as a wrestling fan. And she thought it was great. So, you know, I just said that is just kudos to everybody, that, you know, we can appeal to, you know, so many different types of people and age ranges. And, you know, there should really be like a study on pro wrestling, because like it just it appeals to so many different people in different ways. And for the most part, it seems everybody gets along and has fun. But I gave all the students their props, and I just said, you know, it's crazy that, you know, someone that's never really seen it can enjoy it. You know what I mean? And like, just appreciate it. And I was relieved to say the least as well. But yeah, you know.
Can she talk to my wife? My wife hates wrestling.
That's the other side of it.
She absolutely hates it. She knows that Harper and I go, my daughter and I go to all the shows. We're coming to Akron together. We're going to be there before the summer starts. She's like, she hates it. I wish she would call my wife and be like, it's great. I've taken her 1 million shows. She hates it. I don't know how to explain it.
You haven't taken her to AIW, though. I think AIW has a little bit of a different live experience, you know?
Yeah, she might come. She might come to the next Akron show with me and my kids. So who knows? She went to Mahoning and met Pat and everybody who was there. And she was just like, I'm glad you enjoy it, but she can't stand it. I don't know why.
I mean, and that's, you know, that's kind of the thing is to why it's like, you know, I'm not promoting it at my real job, and a lot of the guys don't promote it at their real jobs because, you know, if you get a boss that thinks it's stupid, you know, like that's you know, that's it. You know, like so I was on like extra like tense high alerts all day Saturday. And you know, I was like kind of focused on, you know, seeing what that experience was like. And, you know...
Because for you, I think it's big thorn in a way where it's not just like, you know, somebody finds out at work that you're a wrestling fan or you watch wrestling. You are in charge. You are the ringmaster of all this. You know what I mean? So it's a little heavier in my opinion. That like if you don't like wrestling, okay, it's one thing. But then they're like, you're like coordinating all of this. You know what I mean? That's like a whole other thing. I think
was not the biggest fan of the interaction between Derek and Ziggy. I'll say that. And you know, that was like, and I was like, oh, like, but you know, that was really the only kind of negative feedback, which is pretty understandable. But yeah, I was on pretty high alert Saturday. So, but everybody rose to the occasion, and like everybody was aware of, you know, like, hey, you know, like if this goes bad, you know, it's going to be all of our faults. So, you know, there was a little added, you know, pressure, you know, so to speak, because, you know, you don't want it to, you don't want it to be viewed as something like stupid or lowbrow, you know, like, which I feel was like the wrestling stereotype for so long.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, loved it and super supportive of it and wants to bring her friends and wants to come all the time now. So,
oh my,
so very, you know, very unexpected, but you know, it was one of those things because it's like you just never know, like when they're gonna find out, you know, how they're gonna feel about it, and you know, other people at work, you know, that it's on the AW TikTok, but that after Raw when we were at Raw and Kevin Owens like talked about us and talked about Biggins and came and gave me a hug, and like it wasn't on TV, but they had the fucking cameras, like, you know, we were on the Titantron, so a lot of people, you know, that cross paths with me at work saw that, and then a lot of questions started circulating around the workplace. So the jig was up pretty quick after that, but yeah, couldn't have gone better, I suppose, for me. So yeah. That was.
Did she come to you and tell you she thought that rendition of Thunderball was one of the greatest she's ever heard?
Her husband was like, "Oh my God, that's Thunderball. This is great."
Oh, Paul's the best.
Yeah, and
wild.
And, Paul was there. You know, Paul was actually talking like before Paul's match. He popped out when I was talking to them, and I was telling them about this guy that swings garbage and how I told them don't swing garbage at you, and he kept like I looked behind me and like. Paul is just being Paul, and he's just talking to her husband, and I go, "This is the garbage guy that you got to stay away from."
The garbage guy.
But yeah, let's get into it from your perspective, the stream, because it's a little bit of a different experience than the live crowd, you know. And I'm interested to see, you know, how you feel about it.
Yeah, so I'll tell you this: I had a guy over who's never, and I mean never, watched wrestling before. I invite. There's a lot of dads in the area.
Very similar to the story I just told, because I had somebody in the crowd that's never, I'm pretty sure, watched wrestling before.
Well, so like he's like the last time I watched
they
wrestling.
Told me, I think they might have had two different viewing experiences. I don't know how much Jeff's going to talk about.
Right. I'll talk. This guy told me the last time he watched wrestling with his dad in the 80s, and all he knew was like he said the word like junkyard dog. Like that's all he knew.
Oh, nice.
So we microdosed mushrooms, and I had him come over, and I'm like, "You're gonna love it." I'm like, "We're gonna watch my friends at AIW. It's gonna be great. I promise you. I'll talk you through it. You know, whatever." He loved it. We had a blast together. I'll tell you this. The production of this episode of this show was, I mean, even 1,000 times more tight and ready to roll than even the last episode. Like, it was, from my side, it looked like, and we said it on our show the last time that came out, it looked like an episode of ECW TV or Monday Night Raw from like the early 2000s. Like, it was. You guys.
I mean, we talked a little bit about it when Chase was on a couple weeks ago, but we had this big meeting recently, and you know, props to Chase because he is really pushing for more kind of, you know, regular meets and, you know, ironing things out and pitching ideas, which, you know, before like the pitching and the things like that, it just kind of existed in like text form, you know, like in like a, you know, Facebook, you know, group chats or stuff like that. And you know, that's how Biggins and I would do it. Biggins and I would go sit at a diner for like 8 hours and, you know, just fucking, you know, live go off of each other. But, you know, like through COVID and, you know, Biggins passing away and just things evolving and, you know, people getting, you know, real jobs and stuff, you know, it's just like the time just kind of slipped away, and it's just like, okay, how about these matches? How about this? How about this? But Chase has really been pushing these like in-person meets, and I really think that they've been pretty effective because, you know, like we're able to workshop stuff like that. And I said, you know, Chase is a much younger guy than me, and I said, hey, I want you to start watching SmackDown from like, it's like July 17th, 2002 or something. It's somewhere in that area. And I said, I want you to start, you know, watching this. You know, I don't know how old he is, but he's, you know, not that old in 2002. And I said, I want you to watch this, and these are some, you know, just watch how the things flow and stuff like that. And he did, and like he really started, you know, he wants the stream to be a different experience almost, or a more in-depth experience than the, you know, what the live crowd gets, which the live crowd, I think everybody loves the live AIW experience. Like we're not messing with that. And, you know, I think we have a pretty decent formula with that. It's just really up to the guys and the alcohol, right? Like, but
no doubt.
Chase really wanted to give a different experience to the live stream, and he, you know, we had this meeting the night of the Royal Rumble, and you know, we pitched these things, and you know, I kind of empowered him a little bit, and I've you know, empowered people like Wadsworth and Dustin Alberti and to kind of come up with these things. And you know, I walked in, and Two Legs can you know, he can confirm this. I walked in, and you would have thought we were on a Hollywood set because everybody is running up to me with scripts and like layouts and formats, and I was just like, guys, like, my boss is coming tonight. Like, I need to like focus on like that because I'm pretty nervous about it. I was like, I trust you guys to execute these ideas. You know, like, I've given my suggestions prior to this. Like, I can't sit here and go over these scripts right now. There's just like too much going on. And you know, you're running the show.
It was just like,
you know, like things are breaking. You're running the show. Like, I'm like, you know, like I'm like a coordinator. You know what I mean? Like I don't even know. Like I know I'm like the owner or whatever, but like to describe my job on a show day is impossible. So, like, I'm just like, I do not have the bandwidth in my brain right now for this. Please just do it, and they did it.
It was pretty much like every single personnel so like to put it in football terms, like Thorne is obviously like the owner of all this. The head coach came up to him and had a question. The offensive coordinator was like, what about this? The defensive coordinator was like, hey, real quick, I want to check on the... Every single person of the AIW staff and student had, like, asked him a question in, like, a 5-minute span. And then somebody, who was the last person who had... It was like Cool-Ass Andy or somebody came up and had something going on. And I was like, guys, I think if one more person asked Thorne a question, he's going to kill us all or freak out or something, because it was right when you were, like, really stressing about your boss and you weren't sure how that was going to go, and just every single person was like, hey, Thorne.
I tell you what, the two shots that made the show completely different than anything I've seen you guys do is, one, Chase had a live shot outside Tadmore, like you guys were at the Lost Battalion Hall in Queens.
Right, yeah.
And then he had, when Broner came out, and I think Wes too, he started filming them walking through the curtain through Gorilla.
Yeah, and I know he did that with Money Shot as well.
Yeah. And I mean, it changed the entire dynamic of the way the show felt on TV. It felt like it felt like you guys were filming a TV show. Like even Butters, we did a review, and he was at the show and he watched it, and he said the video experience took him back to the early 2000s and felt like one of those shows. I mean, that's completely different than even Terror at the Temple, where it felt more of like your normal AIW show. This one felt like you guys were ready to roll, like TV style, ready to roll. And it was almost like how they say, like, technology expands exponentially. You guys, your broadcast absolutely took an exponential jump from December to February.
Yeah, and I mean, that was, not to cut you off, Two Legs, but that's what we were going for, and like Terror at the Temple was its own other animal, to where things weren't really fleshed out yet. But like we had met, and we were in the process of kind of formulating these ideas, and the only thing I told Chase was, I said, whatever you're doing, you have to do it in a tight window, because I don't want to send Dex Royal and Mikey Montgomery out there to just totally rip it up and fire the crowd for them to wait 3 minutes for packages to play on the stream. So a little inside baseball is like, what he did is, like, while they were like still celebrating and selling to get out of the ring, those packages were already playing for you guys at home.
Yeah.
So then by the time Mikey is coming through the curtain, like, Steve Guy is resetting, and there was not much of a any downtime, more than normal, maybe 20-30 seconds, would you say?
It's funny that you say that, because we said also, another thing that I noticed was, so Mikey and Dex, they finish, there's a package, you go right to Steve Guy. There was less of that. If you watch, I mean, I've watched so many of your shows on streams. If you watch the stream from one match to the next match, there's a lot of time where you see Steve getting in the ring, whether they're sweeping or cleaning up, whatever. Yeah. It was like a lot more tightened up. Yeah, there was no, as you said, Two Legs, there was no dead time. It was, here's your package, bam, here's Steve Guy. And it really worked.
The thing, and the reason I think that is, and honestly, the reason it's all working so well, it's all coming full circle, is because we're doing it on our own. Smart Mark Video was great, and Gary's great. Those guys, Robles and everybody is great, but you can't be like, hey, come over for the Royal Rumble, and we're going to just discuss how we want to shoot. They're doing other indies. They're doing all kinds of other stuff. They film the show. That's what they do. Doing the production in-house and having Chase have that department and have us, have these ideas and have these meetings, everything that we want to do, like Thorne's saying now, can be executed the way exactly how we want it. You know what I mean? Like, everything is done exactly. You don't have to rely on some company coming in. You know what I mean? We were there. I got there at Akron at like 12 o'clock. You know what I mean? We were all there, and the ring was already set up. I swear to God, I got there at like noon. The ring was already done. The stage was being built. Like, it's been crazy.
Everything.
The students, there was a lot of people.
Everything was super efficient on. last Saturday. And the other thing which you guys are going to see soon is we also started shooting Intense TV again, which is going to be about 20 or so minute, just little additional things, content to put out on social media and things to kind of continue to complement everything that we're doing and kind of give this 360 purview for the people that want it, because who knows, who knows what's going to happen with wrestling, indie wrestling, anything. We just want to be ready for whatever the next evolution of it is. And
what's your vision for Intense TV? What do you think, what would you like it, what's it going to look like? Is it going to look like where ECW used to do those cuts?
Yeah, it's gonna be very it's going to be very similar to that, which they filmed. They filmed pieces of it on Saturday throughout the day, but it's going to be host segs. There's going to be kind of different topics for the episode. You know what I mean? It might be a just a feature on one talent. You know what I mean, for 20 minutes. And then it's going to evolve. That's going to evolve into different things as well, because like I said, I kind of have empowered these guys to I said I would like for this to come back. I would like to have more content like this, if you think it can get done. And that was essentially the directives I've given. And I said, Dustin Alberti has he's written the first few episodes, and they filmed it, and as I see it, I had no other feedback, I had no other input on it. As I watch it, I'll say, hey, I liked this, I didn't like this, let's change this, let's and it's that's going to evolve too. But it's just we've lacked so much in the kind of full full capacity and potential of the company, and like Two Legs said, we love Mike Burns, we love Smart Mark Video. We couldn't be doing these things. We didn't own cameras, we didn't we didn't have these capabilities, and now we do. And now we're just trying to get the full, see what the full, if there's more that we can grow into. But I don't really have an overall goal. I just want people to like it and keep coming, and you know what I mean. We have no grained ideas of doing anything other than our usual Northeast Ohio shows. We just want to put more of a focus on them.
I think it's easier to get these like Josh, when you said make these calls, put the call out there to get everyone to show up. I think it's a little bit easier to get people to show up when we're putting out this complimentary content and building these characters and stories that people can get invested in. You know what I mean? People are going to come out and they're going to spend their time on stuff that they're interested in, invested in, and all this stuff that we're doing is just all towards the goal of trying to get our fans, like you said, in this area of Northeast Ohio, as much as they want to enjoy. You can have as much or as little as you want.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, the guy who I was watching with through our haze said to me two things. He had one complaint: he couldn't hear the ring announcer, and he said he had a little bit of trouble with the sound, but that's his own thing. The other thing was, he goes, "There's stories here." I said, "Yeah." I said, "That's why we watch it." He got it right away. He got the stories. He was asking me about, why is going on. There's not a lot, and we can, there's a handful of companies total in the country that do stories. The thing that you guys do best is your stories, is your respect of the past. And then when you do things like Intense TV, the people like me and the people in the country who still have that respect for the old ECW and the old ECW TV and, like Shotgun Saturday Night and all those things, it feels very similar, and I think that helps get more people's eyes onto it, because it does have almost like a comfort to it, where you feel like, oh my God, these guys are doing a similar product, or it's almost nostalgic feeling, even though it's very fresh. So I think there's something there to that.
It's just, I don't know, it's just pro wrestling. You know what I mean? That's the pro wrestling. That's the pro wrestling.
But that's simple.
And there'll be times somebody will say, why can't I do this? Let's do this match. And I'll say, well, I don't know. I know that's how it is now, and sometimes you do throw on that random match, but like, when it comes to titles and stuff like that, it's really hard for me to kind of, just say, oh, yeah, like, of course, everybody would, like to see, this person versus Isaiah Broner, but like, there's so many different politics and different things, and then it's like, is our crowd gonna care? Like it's like that match looks great on paper, for Twitter, but like, is the person that only comes to shows in Akron gonna care, or be invested that much? I don't know. Like, and I don't know if I'm just like leaning into my old crabby, like, like just whatever, Rip Rogers-esque.
Boy, Rip had a good day on that one, huh?
But it's just like,
guy.
And of course sometimes we do that because we realize you do need, you just need that crazy match out there every now and then. But like, and that's what ECW did too. But there's just I don't know, like we're just trying to focus on what we do and try to do it better and improve it and not worry so much. Like, I've talked about it before, and like, it's so easy to get caught up in that race of, what's this promotion doing and what's that promotion doing, and they booked this and they booked that, and like, it's so hard to get taken over by that. And it's certainly happened to me, at times, and it'll probably happen to me again. But like, we're really trying to just focus on, let's see what we can do with what we got, and throw a couple things and mix it in, obviously, and see what we can make out of it, and see how we can, how we can improve it. Like, look at like a new company like Deadlock, right? Like, they've cultivated a whole audience on like Patreon. You know what I mean? And like, just who knows where things are going. We're just trying to kind of carve out our niche and keep people, interested.
Well, I mean, look at but like, you guys always seem to have one extra thing that kind of, you grow. It's almost like a growth thing. Like, out of nowhere, Dex Royal. You got Dex Royal. Out of nowhere. You literally did not, no one said to you, John, they weren't like, you should book this Dex Royal guy. You found Dex Royal. He has fit in seamlessly. Now when Dex Royal wrestles, everything is fresh. So it's not like you're putting on the same match over and over again. Trey Lamar came back. Out of nowhere, you booked a Trey Lamar-Chuck Stone match. No one's ever seen that. The styles are completely different. You have a fresh match. There's just something where you guys, you don't need to go out and do matches that are not relevant, or like, not relevant to your story, so to speak.
Right, and like, but sometimes all of a sudden, you got to do that.
Now Dex Royal is completely relevant. Yeah.
Right, and like, sometimes you get, like, sometimes you do got to do that. Like at the Temple, you know what I mean? It's a bigger venue. You got to pull in some, you got to pull in a Vikingo, or Speedball Mike Bailey, and you do have to find that crowd. But there's also, look at that main event. It was a 5-on-5 of all of our guys. You know what I mean? Right. And there's, Dex Royal, I think he's a perfect example of, like this is going to sound like so pretentious or whatever, but it's like, you buy the stock low and sell high, so it's like, I saw Dex Royal at Black Label when Chase Oliver got hurt, and they did a tryout show, and it was like, I don't know, like 1 p.m. on a Saturday in Chicago. And, it was right when Chase, blew his Achilles out, and, they needed somebody to drive all these kids out there because, we were obligated to film Black Label. And I saw Dex Royal, and I go, who the fuck is this guy? And I looked, I was like, I told Mikey, I said, this is your guy, this is your guy.
What a match they had after all that.
It was crazy. Yeah, that match was, and we, when on our show we discussed.
I'm saying that was not Mikey Montgomery. I told Mikey, the promoter of Black Label, when I was there.
Oh, right, right.
Sorry.
Mikey. Yeah. I said, this is your guy. I mean, and deceivingly really big guy.
You had to tell him.
No, well, like, it was like a tryout show, and I was like, this is the guy, and like, we had that opportunity, which, hopefully it's going to show up on Fight soon, or Triller Plus TV. Dex, we put Dex on the Rumble on Main Street too, and he did great. And I think he's got a great look. I think he's super athletic and talented. He's totally under the radar, underutilized guy. And we just started kind of. I saw him at Black Label. We put him on Rumble on Main Street too, and then it's just like, you're putting cards together. You look at a spot and you go, hey, Dex, are you available? Dex, let's put you, let's throw you in the J-Lit. You know what I mean? Like, let's just do things like that. And now, he is kind of, a fresh guy, on the rise that people are looking at. And, same thing, Trey Lamar work him back in. And honestly, Chuck Stone's been there, but not this Chuck Stone. He's totally been freshened up, from everything that's happened in the summertime, till now. I think that he's found so much confidence as a performer. And, I think Chuck is just, you want to talk about just like raw potential. Like to me, that's Chuck Stone.
Yeah, this Chuck Stone is the brutalizing like style of this Chuck Stone is awesome. And to put him in Trey Lamar could not have been different styles. It just worked. I think, kudos to both those guys for making it work, but that was something that we've never seen before. So you had that. I mean, between the first, that match and the Dex match, two matches we've never seen before. So you don't have to always go for the whatever the name is, or the flavor of the month that people want to see, flying in, because these people keep your stories going and they are exactly what is needed at the time. That's something that you guys have been very good at, is saying, look, these are what we need right now and this is what we're doing. Whether or not you bring in one or two others is fine, but a guy like Chuck, a guy like Dex, they just make it feel fresh, and it just works.
Yeah.
Boys Chuck over, man.
Yeah.
I said that when he came out in the back. Everyone was like, man, me and the Thorn, you were standing right there. He said, boys Chuck over. That Chuck Fuck shirt is that's to be a top seller, I'm
Which
sure.
my boss also owns one of those now, too.
I was going to say, I didn't know if you wanted to put it out there. Thorn's boss, big fan. Chuck Stone, big fan.
But yeah, it's, it's, I don't know. Like, it just feels like, and I do look at the, like, it just feels like all the kind of the characters are falling into place in a way, like, and this is going to sound kind of crazy, but like, everybody romanticizes about that 96 ECW run. Like, I really prefer like 98, 99. I feel like they had really figured it out. And like,
who was that? Who was the champ at that point in 98?
It's like Shane Douglas, like end of 97 or into 98, like the Shane Douglas, Bam Bams, like Sabu, like they just had all of their characters, I think, in place, and all of their pieces in place. Dudley's, Al Snow, like RVD, Sabu, like, and then you had the young guys like Chetty and Doring and Roadkill kind of working their way up, and anybody that went to a house show, and like, I'm not even talking ECW Arena, like I'm talking Cleveland, right, or one of these weird markets, like all those guys were over, like everybody was over. And I think that's really when the potential of ECW was like on the brink of just full on explosion. And that's kind of where it's like, and I'm not comparing it, but I feel like, my, like, what I'm trying to say here is, I feel like a lot of our guys are starting to find where they fit, and the pieces are kind of falling into place. You know what I mean? Like the Chuck Stones and the, Mikey Montgomery.
Can I give you a couple of guys that, like,
yeah, go ahead,
from a TV watching stand out? Two guys who I couldn't believe stood out. Well, I can believe it, but two guys that I noticed the most during the broadcast. One is lately is always Sam Holloway. That's just his size and his, but the other one, and you might think I'm nuts, is when there was the pull apart with Bishop and Bane, and Alex Melee came in and got in his face,
Oh,
he stood out. I can't help it.
Yeah.
He literally, I was Melee's going to take this dude right now.
He's the only one that I think he swung at him. He's the only one that
yeah,
he did.
took a shot.
I'm telling you, from the TV side, I know you love him.
Oh yeah, he's great.
But Melee, he stood out to me on the TV side, and Big Sam, my friend I was watching with, was like, that dude is a monster. And I'm like, oh, he sure is. Wait till you see him jump over the top rope. There's just something about both of those guys
Alex Melee
that stood out on the broadcast. Yeah, Melee, for real.
You know, you got to optimize your seconds, right? Like, that's what it's all about. You know, he went out there and he called the shot. It didn't work out great for him, but, you know, you remembered it, so maybe it did.
And if I could just tell you, my brother texted me earlier and said, can you ask John? Bane, he goes, I guess that wasn't directed towards the New York metro market, because none of us over here knew who he was.
No.
You know, like,
so Jason Bane was like a Cleveland area stalwart.
right.
You know, he was. I saw him on Cleveland All Pro shows in 1998. You know, he used to be known as the Widowmaker. And then he was Bane. Then he was Jason Bane. One of the just local legends. You know, there are tons of stories of the old Cleveland All Pro era. If you know, little inside baseball. If you know, there's times given, and if you went over on your time at Cleveland All Pro, Jason Bane was sent, and you know he was.
We need to enforce that. Now.
He was just. You know, he was just doing what he was told. But you know, if your match is over, Jason Bane was coming out, and he was handling business on behalf of the promotion. And
Holy moly.
You know, it's just different times. You know what I mean? But always just a stone cold killer. And like anybody that experienced wrestling, you know, in those days, that was the one guy that stood out. You know, I think Michael Porter tweeted it. There was a time on, I think it was Raw, where he takes the Master Lock Challenge, and you know, he was getting looks, and you know, I believe if rumor and innuendo are correct, he actually turned down a WWE contract, you know, somewhere in the mid 2000s. Because he had a job that paid better than what they offered him, and you know, he said no. But he wrestled up until I believe 2013 was the last time he wrestled. He only did one or two AIW shows. Like I think did Absolution 3, and that was it. Because you know, he was kind of a JT guy, and you know, sometimes we were good with JT, sometimes we weren't good with JT. And that's just kind of the way it all, you know, fell into place. But whether you knew who he was or not, it didn't matter, because he certainly made an impact at the end of that show.
Yeah, he's a presence. He absolutely came in, and I was trying to explain to my friend I was like, I don't know who he is, but I'm going to listen to the commentary. But he is huge, and Bishop and him face to face was a sight for the television side of things.
Yeah, I mean, that's a young Josh Bishop dream match. You know, we didn't know if that was a real thing or not until the show had started. He arrived at the venue, but yeah, it was. That's the kind of thing, though. Is like we're not trying to tell other people's stories. We're trying to tell our stories, and you know, with Prohibition kind of leaning into this local legend thing, he wanted to go find another local legend that, you know, anybody that was around in those days, every single person remembers Jason Bane. And, you know, he worked for other promotions locally. So, you know, fans, like, this is what I said in the back. I said, there's a lot of people that didn't know, but the people that knew really knew, and, like, were in shock. Because in those days, not a lot of people stood out, but he certainly stood out. And, you know, if you check out the Cleveland All Pro Wrestling Archives Facebook and YouTube that we've been working on, there's a lot of old Jason Bane footage that's, you know, that's made its way on there. And, you know, you can kind of see he used to be a lot bigger. But he's gotten himself in great shape for this, whatever this is going to become. Maybe it's one match, maybe it's 2 years of matches. Nobody really knows, to be honest. It's kind of ball is in his court, but he's been gone for over 10 years, and he's back, and
Yeah, but how do you plan for something like that? So like he comes back and you say something, you said something like could be 2 matches, could be 2 years. How do you how do you plan for something like that?
It's like with guys like that, it's kind of the ball's in their court, right? Like you have to see, I don't know the circumstances as to why he left wrestling, what if he didn't like it, he doesn't talk a lot, so we just don't really know where it's at, and to be honest, I haven't even really talked to him. It's all been through, Josh Prohibition, that's
Wow.
real, that's like a real thing.
Maybe he went back to jail, like in the famous clip he said on Raw. Just got out of county jail.
Yeah,
I don't know.
He said for
He
manslaughter.
just
or
went
something.
back to the big house.
yeah.
Did a
That's
bid.
totally, that's 100% the truth is, everything's been through, Josh Prohibition, did all this and set it all up. And, so I don't really know, you know what I mean? Like, I think Jason Bain and I, we've known each other. We've, certainly interacted with each other, but I don't know that we have the rapport with each other. You know what I mean? So I honestly, it could be just March 22nd. It could be more. That's not even like a cliffhanger tease. Like we just, and you can't plan for it, like you gotta, that's kind of the thing where it's like, I'm a very, like where Chase is trying to iron everything out. I'm a very like fluid booker, so I can, and that's why I think we've done well in the past when things fall through and things have to change and you got to do things on the fly. Like I'm a very kind of fluid booker with stuff like that. So, I can wait and see. And, if he doesn't want to do any more, he doesn't want to do any more. If he wants to do any more, I have like 7 matches right off the top of my head that I'd like to see him do. So,
Wow. That's
You
wild.
got him ready
Like,
to go.
But like the fact that you haven't had that conversation with him, and it's through J Pro and things like I mean, I can't wrap my head around that, knowing like the way that I sat in an hour meeting, an all day meeting today at work, and I'm like, everything is planned to the T. Like, and you're telling me that you didn't even speak to the talent, like really,
No.
to plan what's happening is wild to me.
No, I mean, you just gotta, like, to me, like, that's one of those things to where it was like, I don't know if people are gonna think this is big or not, but like, for the people that it's going to matter to, it's worth rolling the dice on this whole thing, just for that moment to happen. And, I know people like Summers and Michael Porter, and there were a lot of people that were like going nuts. And there were a lot of people that were like, I don't know who that guy is, but he's friggin' scary and he just is killing people, So
Yeah.
I think it worked on different levels, and you just gotta just wait and see. And, because like, listen, if you're willing to walk away from wrestling for 10 years and never come around it, you gotta, you know what I mean? It's there's a process to it. You got to see if, you love it again, or, like, I don't know. Like, I really don't know what the circumstances for any of it is as to why he stopped wrestling. So there's one match for sure that's going to happen March 22nd. And that's, where it goes from there. It goes from there. Maybe it goes nowhere from there. But just to get Jason Bain out for at least one more, I think for at least the Cleveland area fans, and that's why we're doing it in Cleveland at the Temple. I think it's a really cool thing, because even if he's only doing one, he didn't have some big send off. He just didn't wrestle again one day. So
It just stopped showing
It's
up.
wild. I mean, but you also I got to remind you of this though. I know you probably know. You have a bunch of stars in the making with some of these rookies, and the way that J Pro brought Tyler Jordan along, and I mean that kid, he reminds me, and he said it on when we interviewed him. He reminds me of like a 2006 SmackDown wrestler, and you have Zay Garcia, and you have a bunch of guys who are like in that area. The talent that your guys are farming and pushing out is, even when you need them, is quite impressive. And the fact that Jordan is in that feud with J Pro and then it became Bane. I mean, the way it kind of played itself out on the TV worked really, really well. Especially the visual of his frog splash and then the lights went out and everything. Yeah, it just worked. And that dude, the contrast between him and what was going on in the ring was really good for the viewer.
Yeah, and that just goes to that, back to your ECW kind of analogy, is if Bane would have just walked down to the ring, would anybody have cared? I don't know. You know what I mean? Some would, some would. No. But the lights out thing just made everybody pay attention. And, you've seen it a million times with Sabu or somebody else at ECW. And, that's kind of the vibe that, we kind of all agreed on, that we thought, was deserving. And, I think it made it just feel bigger. Like I said, like we don't know where it's going to go. But, like, I have so many, like, if Bane wants to do more stuff with, this dude wrestled for, probably 20 years, 10, at least 15. Like, he's got a lot that he could teach people, and that's another kind of avenue to when it comes to developing or I think you said farming talent. Like, you got to get him in there with people that know, and people from these different eras and generations, and that's the thing, is like there are a lot of guys waiting to be next guys up, and that's what we're hopeful to do with these Thursday shows. Like, we got one on 229 at the Mercury Lounge. We're not going to stream it live to kind of take a little bit of that pressure off, but then we're going to have it up as a VOD, and we're talking about kind of giving it the same experience that you would see, like you saw at Eye for an Eye when it does go up. But we just kind of want to take a little bit of that pressure off some of these guys and let them kind of feel a little freer, and let them develop, right? Like, there's like you said, Alex Melee, there's Shelby Wilder, there's Zay Garcia, there's all kinds of guys. Like, then you got your Vic Vices and your Austin Jameses that were have kind of worked their way up and back down, and don't really have a sure fitting, like someone like Tyler Jordan. He's whoops, I dropped something. He's a Tyler Jordan, he's kind of the exception to the rule. He broke through, he looks the part, he wrestles the part.
He does.
He's young, he's athletic, he's good looking. He has a crowd that follows him everywhere he wrestles. He does small shows in Southern Ohio, and he's got a caravan of people that go down there and buy those tickets. They're probably loving him in Marion, Ohio right now. He understands that Pete. It's not just the in the ring business. It's a overall business, and he, like, Tyler Jordan is a lot to credit for that crowd on Saturday. So is Shelby Wilder, Sam Holloway. Like, I named all those guys earlier in the show, but Tyler Jordan, when I told him he's going on last, he took that very seriously. And, he had a huge contingent of people come out to support him. And, it was his 21st birthday the day before. Like, that's just, it's crazy how young he is. And, the potential, obviously, is there. And, Josh Prohibition, obviously saw something in him somewhere along the way, wanting to wrestle him at Fresh Meat at least. And, it's just a nice little kind of, maybe it goes all the way to Absolution, maybe it doesn't. It's just kind of like, maybe there's a mid-season finale to some of these feuds as well, to where it's not so predictable. And that's, what we plan to do with, adding more to these streams, adding more kind of YouTube content and Intense TV and all that stuff is, you don't got to drag everything to July, like, we can do things, we don't have to do this reset all the time. Like, like that's happened, it's like Absolution, and then it's kind of like whatever, and then you get into things like mid into the next year. Now we're kind of trying to utilize that time better and do a little bit just make it more interesting. And I think, this feud starting at Fresh Meat 3, is essentially is something that is a new approach for us in a way.
And I've never felt older than when I speak to those kids and they tell me that they grew up on TNA. And I'm like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? I'm like,
the kids,
I was at WrestleMania 1. Like, how the fuck? They love it.
I didn't watch a ton of it, like I was like an ECW Attitude Era, early Ruthless Aggression, and like I never really I got super into the TNA stuff, but all these kids, like, I don't know if they were showing it at the elementary schools or what, but like every kid.
I mean, like, it was pay-per-view. I watched on occasion a Wednesday pay-per-view.
Right.
And like with Jeff Jarrett with the midget who shot him or pulled the gun out and everything, like, that was like, I was like, okay, that's funny. And then, but like, I never watched it over and over. Like, these guys grew up on it.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, every kid that comes to the school loves TNA. Chase Oliver loves TNA. Josh Bishop loves TNA. They all, like, I don't know if, like, when there's a substitute teacher, they just play TNA tapes in Northeast Ohio. But, like, all of these kids just love TNA so much.
They love it.
Do you think this feud with Tyler Jordan is really kind of bringing something out of Josh, being that, he's been around professional wrestling for a long time, and he's, getting an opportunity to bring in a young kid who he sees from the very jump that, he thinks he has something in him, and it, it's kind of getting to bring him along a little bit and kind of show him the ropes per se of,
I think it's
of professional wrestling.
I think it's kind of maybe the opposite. I don't know. Like, I think, Josh and Bane, they're from this era where things were a little harder and things were a little different. Matthew Justice actually sent a message to the AIW students last night that said his first day of training at Cleveland All Pro, every prospective student had to line up and just take Bane lines so they could see who would give up and walk out. And over and over again. He said every single person that was there just got fed to Bane, and Bane was made to make you want to quit. Like, it wasn't, hey, like, everybody, like, we like wrestling, let's make you wrestlers. Bane was there to make you quit, and, Josh Prohibition went through that when he went to the Cleveland All Pro Wrestling School, and things were a lot harder and more difficult, and I do think that there is some, I don't think bitterness is the word, but just some animosity for how easy it has gotten, in a sense, as far as making money and getting opportunity, and there's some
contracts.
There's some real realism in those promos that Josh Prohibition is putting out. He says those things when a camera is off. So I think it's just a little like, hey, you have all of the tools, but like, you've probably not had to experience anything that's been all that difficult to you as far as this process has been and athletics go. Like, Tyler Jordan is like a Division I, like, high school, like, star athlete, decorated boxer. He's done a lot of things, for being so young. And I think just Prohibition is just he's just a little resentful, you know what I mean? Like, if he was born a couple years later, maybe he would be Johnny Gargano making, WWE money, but he wasn't. He's in his 40s, and he was like just from that era that it didn't happen for a lot of guys. And I think he's just a little, he thinks maybe it's been a little too easy.
Interesting.
I mean, it works. It just works, and it you could feel it off the episode. So, I mean, for the show, so it definitely works.
Yeah, I can't wait to see where that one's gonna go for sure. I can't wait to see more Bane. Admittedly, like I said, I'm newer to wrestling, especially in the Cleveland area, so I had no idea. And I even said, true story. I even said, who's the guy that's been walking around backstage? It looks like he just got out of jail. And they were like, that's Jason Bane. I was like, who the fuck is that? I was like, did he get out of jail? And then they laughed and like, watch this clip.
Yeah,
it worked. The whole show, John, looked different, and the matches, the flow was really good. Even from like the match selection, how you went after intermission. So like from a TV side, if you want like, my complete kind of roundup, yeah, it flowed, it worked, and it was extremely entertaining. So I liked the pacing, I liked the video of it. So I hope there's more of that in the future.
Yeah, that's the hope. That's really the hope, and that's kind of why. We just don't know, you know what I mean? And I know it's our podcast, so no one's probably going to come on here and be like, that shit sucked. But, it's just interesting.
You never know.
Honestly, it's just like, it's kind of crazy, but it's like the people that come all of the time, like, it's hard to kind of take their feedback because they have almost agendas at that point, and biases. But, like my boss, for example, like hearing like her perspective of the live experience made me feel really good. You know what I mean? Because it's like never, you know what I mean? And it's just like, what did you like? What didn't you like? Who did you like? You know what I mean? Like, who stood out? Stuff like that. To where it's just like, and then on the flip side of that is getting people's experience that aren't there live, like you, who are just watching it. Even though you have your kind of opinions and biases, you're watching it as a like almost television presentation and seeing how that kind of evolves different things. And then I'll my nephew was there and I'm like, who stood out to you, and like he loves Shelby Wilder, and it's just like well, that's interesting. You know what I mean? And it's just like, why? And he's like, well, he was different. He was a cowboy. Everybody just kind of comes out to rap music and, they're all good wrestlers. But like this guy came out to country music and was a cowboy and it was different than everybody else. This is like a 9-year-old kid. And I'm like, that makes so much sense. But I never would have thought of that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, but like, I love getting all of those kind of different purviews because like it helps me, to where I go, to me, I'm like, I don't know about a cowboy. You know what I mean? Like, I'm looking at that like, I don't know if that's going to work. But then I got a 9-year-old kid going, I love the cowboy, like, and it's just like, maybe, you know what I mean? Like, then, to, probably the benefit of Shelby Wilder, my 9-year-old nephew has me thinking, maybe we should try a little bit more with Shelby Wilder, like,
IW Guide Rookie of the Year.
Listen,
he's no Melee, but
hey, listen, my daughter's the same way. She loves Jocelyn. She loves Josh Bishop. She loves the way he comes out, and it's just like, I don't know. She met him though a few years ago, so like that might be tainting her views. But she loves him when he comes out. Like her eyes light up. She's gonna be 9.
New song out of Josh. Did you notice that there?
I wasn't crazy about that. I would have said no to that if I knew that was
why.
happening.
Why? What's wrong with it?
Because I think Sabotage is just like so established. Like when I'm pretty sure did that match come out at intermission?
The Bishop match.
It was. They were second after
second. Yeah. They were the second match. First was Derek and wasn't it Derek and Magnum?
Because like, so. When you're coming under intermission, you kind of have people that are still kind of straggling back in and stuff. But, like, when Sabotage hits, like, everybody runs back in, like, no matter where they're at. So, like, it's kind of like a mood. Like, I saw it at the temple, Sabotage hit, people running from the bar, like, it's just been so ingrained in everybody. So, like, his new music is great, but like Sabotage it's like the glass breaking, like people know who's coming. So like people
even X-Pac changed from the regular DX to his own X-Pac song. So sometimes you gotta kind of get yourself your own thing again and like try to kind of reinvent.
How'd that work for X-Pac though?
Hey, we all remember that song, don't we?
It's such a weird thing for me because anyone will come because you're notoriously not a big fan of changing music. And we've had a lot of people, change their music, one song here, one song. There's a lot of changing of music in AIW. And when Josh debuted the new song at other places, I thought that was interesting, and I wondered if he was going to do it here. So when I was putting the music together, I asked him, I said, Sabotage or the new song, and he sent me the new song. And I'm never going to go to you and go, hey, Thorne, which one should I always tell the guy, the wrestlers, it's up to them what they want to play. I'll hit play on whatever you want. But it's always interesting to see the reactions and what when it is changed, what happens.
Well, but I mean, Derek changed from All My Friends Are Dead to his own song, right? Like to that song now. Now people know him when he comes out to that one. So I mean, it just takes a little time, but it does.
Well, Josh Bishop didn't even know his music was playing, so that's why it took him so long to come out, because he didn't. He didn't realize that it had started, well, but I bet you if you had heard that Sabotage, you would have been running through the curtain. Right. You would have known. It's muscle memory.
It takes right. Growing pains, it happens.
Well, we did get some questions in the Discord. If you want to go over a few questions, sure. If you do want to get in the Discord, join our Patreon for as little as $5 and get in the Discord. And ask any questions you want to hear here, or we're doing watch along. Josh, were you doing the watch along as the live was in the Discord, or was that on Twitter, or where was that?
We do the watch along through whoever was doing it. I was doing it on my own. I do my own watch along, and then if people want to tweet with me, but I think some of the people were doing the watch along in the Discord. Yeah. Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
We did have some questions, so we kind of already talked about it, but Scott Random was curious about. He said he presumes this is chapter 1 of a longer story, but we kind of talked over. It's kind of up to Bane as far as how long he wants to go, but he's curious how long that was in the works to bring him in. I know probably not too
super long.
From what
it's
I
kind
know.
Of I wouldn't say chapter 1. It's kind of like a Bane choose your own adventure. You could pick the option that the book's going to end, and you can check it off the Red Books list, or you can go on that adventure. So. I don't really know. I mean, it was a couple days maybe prior to the event. It was worked out, and that's kind of where the switch happened for that to go on last. Initially, the tag match was going to close the show, but we thought, with it being a street fight and with this Bane thing, I shuffled the deck a little bit on that.
I definitely think it would be a disservice to the guys, the tag match, to go out after something like a lights out surprise of Bam. It just takes the gas.
It was just going to be hard for them to recover from that. And I typically like, the champions to be presented as champions, but it just, I had to shuffle the deck on that one, and I think it was the right call.
Definitely. To piggyback off that a little bit, Sean asked, he doesn't want to ruin any surprises, but a yes or no, maybe just have any other old school Cleveland All-Pro legends been contacted at all? Or?
No, not at all. I mean, just, who knows where a lot of those guys are, to be honest with you. Bane hasn't wrestled since 2013. So, I think a lot of those guys have put a lot of their wrestling time behind them for the most part. I'm hopeful that, just putting those Cleveland All-Pro matches up on social media, I know, some people had reached out and said that, they never thought that their kids would ever have seen them wrestle. They didn't know the footage existed. So I'm just hopeful that, those guys are happy, and maybe they kind of pop out and come support. One guy, Lars Rockney, who I talk to a lot, a little kind of interesting fact, he purchases the JLIT trophies every year as a kind of, thank you for us keeping JT's name alive. He always puts up the money for the trophies. And he texted me that he can't believe Bane's going to wrestle again. And, he lives in North Carolina now, but he said he's going to fly in to watch it.
Hell yeah.
Because Bane was just one of those guys, that, just for that era was just on another level to watch, for better or for worse, you know what I mean? Probably worse for a lot of the guys that he was working with, but great to watch. And so Lars Rockney texted me. He was pretty excited about that, but I haven't really heard or talked to a lot of those other guys. It's just going through the tapes and the videos, it's just like I've said it before, it's kind of helped reset my brain back to a time where I was a fan of things, and I wasn't so kind of burnt out and ingrained in the business of pro wrestling. So I don't know, just like a hobby, but no, and that's not like a hidden secret or anything. Like I don't even, like, if you added another Cleveland All Pro guy, I don't even know who it would be, to be honest. So no.
Yeah. I mean, it's wild. We didn't really get into it too much, but just how much shit goes wrong. We had, we didn't have doom and gloom yet, but there was a lot of obstacles, let's just call them, before the show started this week. And there was a lot. I mean, some credit cards were swiped, and some purchases had to be made.
There's a lot of equipment
for some equipment
broke prior to that stream going up. That
oh man,
Two Legs had to make a couple runs to Best Buy, and
every time you guys talk about that, I don't understand. Here's the thing: you guys just did it, Pat. You guys just did it like a month and a half ago. The items themselves never leave the boxes or whatever that you guys put them in. What happens between that time and that time that things go completely wrong?
I am not in charge of these items or certain things, but I know it is. They're also used for a lot of things. We do the production for a lot of other companies.
They're getting shoved in cars and things like that.
Yeah.
We're not. They're not traveling via freighter truck. So.
Right.
But I made a trip to Walmart several times. The 2 or 3 Walmart trips, a Best Buy trip, a Target trip. There was a lot of retail shopping.
Not to throw him under the bus too much, because his poor phone. I don't know if it could take it at this point if he listens to this podcast.
It's got to be made of steel, bro.
But like Chase Oliver purchases these things in which stuff can travel in, and I don't think he realized that maybe some foam should be in there when it's clanking around. So there were no screens or monitors or anything for us to even view the cameras. And man, Chase, I've never seen somebody whip their phone at a wall, pick it up, whip it back at the wall, pick it up, and whip it back at the wall again.
He spiked it off the ground first, picked
touchdown,
it up and whipped it.
Then touchdown, spike it, and then he's just, I said, hey man, go take a lap or something, it's fine.
At one point, I looked at you and I looked at him and I said, we have 2 options here. Option A or option B, but destroying our phones is not going to make either one of those options better. So just tell me what to do and I'll go do it.
Yeah, I just gave you my credit card and I said,
you just handed the card over.
Said, just go figure it out, because this guy's not going to stop throwing his phone.
He was so fucking mad.
Yeah, just mad as human. But it's just stuff like that happens, and now he knows, You don't put monitors, like with no protection, into this nice monitor bag. Like he was like, I got this monitor bag, but it's just like, yeah, but they're just still clanging around in a trunk.
We got backups for our backups. So we're the list of all the stuff we own is just fucking, man. we're getting deep here, but not to get too far off the subject. Actually, newer member to the Patreon, Papa Bear, asks. We're doing hashtag Ask AIW. They said they tried the ice cream sundae at the Tadmore and it was terrific. Something I'm always bragging about the ice cream sundae there at the Tadmore. It's great. They're curious, will there be more Sundays at other events? They would love a Temple Sunday. The Temple Sunday I wouldn't hold your breath on, but the Tadmore Shrine always has plenty of concessions.
They barely get pizza, I don't think they're getting.
They once famously had hot dogs with no bun.
Yeah, I mean they're working.
The Tadmore Sundays are an absolute. There's something. They look so much better in Twitter than I spilled an entire one on my shoes the last time I was there, but.
How many beverages deep were you there? I mean, come on.
Yeah, there was something, and I was wearing white shoes, and everyone in the arena looked at me, and I go, God damn it! Like, why do I have to? I had to wash them the second I got home. But there's something about the frozen brownies, and I think I've heard that the brownies used to be homemade, and now they're kind of like brownie bites. But that's just my own opinion on the brownies there.
Oh, I love it. I love all the concessions. Maybe we can get Monsoon Classic. To get an ice cream sundae at like the East Lake, when he does the concessions there or something. We'll have to try and see what we can do. Just making stuff harder on Monsoon right now. Another question. I know Ed asks, He's looking for us to bring in a wrestler, Hechicero, against
the guy
Dom.
from AEW.
Yeah, Dom Graney or Filthy Tom he's looking for. I'm not too familiar with this person, but I really only have time for AIW these days, so don't blame me. But Thorne, how I mean, as far as bringing guys in, Ed, you're slanging down your checkbook to bring. I can't believe this guy. I can't imagine he's going to be cheap there. So
You had so much success with Bandito and all those guys. You might as well, right?
Yeah, we had Commander as well.
Commander. Too. He went through you guys before.
Like
now he's a huge star. Look at that.
Yeah, I mean
that AIW rub.
I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I don't have anything on the docket, so to say for that. But sometimes opportunities do arise. I'm not going to blow it here just yet, but I blew Two Legs' mind after the show on Saturday when I told them who will be making their AIW debut on March 22nd. Kind of in the same realm. I don't know if you even remember what I told you, Two Legs, because you were a little inebriated. But
that's my favorite part. I think that's why you tell me stuff, because I don't ever remember anything. So you can tell me, and I'm not going to tell anybody, or I can't be spoiled because I don't ever remember. It's fine. You get my honest reaction in the moment, and then it's good. The slate's wiped clean.
You lost your mind.
I can't wait for you to tell me again. This is great. I get it twice.
Yeah, so, but like sometimes things just arise, and people say, "Hey, so and so is available." It just has to be the right situation. But there's nothing on the docket right now for him, at least.
If you need me to drive Hook from Long Island to Cleveland, I will absolutely do that. He lives very close, and I followed his lacrosse career very carefully, John. So if you ever need anybody to come across the country from Long Island, I got you.
Has he ever even done an indie? I don't know.
I've never. He did a Creative Pro show a year ago from last May. He did one Creative Pro show, and he did a signing, and it was very pricey. But I don't even know how much he did. I think he did a couple of throws, and that was it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of all we got for the question portion of it. Anything else you want to go over, Thorne, before we get out of here, or ask Josh, or anything, Josh, you want to put over? One thing I did want to say that I didn't kind of get a chance earlier. One of the bigger reasons I think we did ask Josh, and we're going to have Sam on here, is the podcast is what brought you to AIW. You guys have always said that you found the podcast first. And that's kind of, I wanted to try to tie it all together when Thorne kind of gave me the reins a little more on the podcast here. And for me, it's easier to kind of schedule things out. I think it's easier. You make a schedule, it's easier to stick to it. I've been trying to do that with the pod. I don't know how many weeks in a row this is. Everyone likes to mess with us a little bit because we weren't so consistent with it. But like I said, we're trying to really, bring you some content here every week on the podcast. And I thought bringing you guys in, for a fan's perspective.
Sure.
Was something that everybody could, take something from.
Well, I remember taking the first trip to Ohio, and my brother put on all the old episodes, and just listening to you guys do the Sid episode, and, he listened to you guys all the way from Colt, so that's how, we got in. So, yeah, the podcast is very influential, and there's a lot of people who enjoy hearing when you guys do when you always had, Dom in there, or when you had Duke with you, when you just had a bunch of guys just kind of lying around and doing a show, it worked so well. And I think that's what, made us so excited to kind of listen to it. So, in the end, that's exactly why. And anytime you guys ask me, I love it. I'll do anything you guys need on my side. It's not bad enough that people already hear me speak.
We recorded one of those roundtables at the day of the Royal Rumble, and maybe I'll drop that next week, or one of these weeks.
It's great. It's always great when you guys are all, you have such good rapport. So it definitely is worth the listen if you ever want to do that. But yeah, I got nothing. IW Guide. We came out today. We did the review of the Akron show, and next week we have IW Guide Rookie of the Year Shelby Wilder, the fresh meat interview. So
yeah, so if you're ever looking for more kind of AIW kind of content, that you guys are always in the AIW realm. So check out IW Guide wherever you're downloading your podcasts. Mm-hmm. We appreciate all that you guys do for us. Thorne, anything else you want to get to before we get out of here?
No, I just want to thank everybody at IW Guide for the support, and reviewing the shows, and giving the Academy graduates, a platform. Doing your first podcast could be a nerve-wracking thing. So you guys kind of, just kind of throw them into the fire, so to speak. So earlier in their careers, and I think that is honestly, so helpful for them, just getting comfortable talking, to people, because it's just, especially these young kids, they just kind of grow up in this, different world of, kind of existing online, and it just helps them so much with their interpersonal skills when they're doing these podcast interviews, and helps them kind of get out of their shells a little bit, and gives fans a little bit of a deeper look at them. So I think it's great.
Thanks. Yeah, it's cool. We love having those kids on, and I honestly love talking to them. I think it's great to hear them kind of not have to worry that there's anybody there. Kind of, they can just be themselves. So it's been fun, and everyone seems to want to jump on and do it. So whoever wants to keep going, we're always looking for good guests, and anybody wants to join us, it's our pleasure to have them. So yeah.
All right. Well, don't forget, check us out. We do have some shows coming up. We are back in the Cleveland area in Lakewood, Ohio on the 29th of February at the Mercury Lounge. Thursday, the Mercury Lounge in Lakewood, Ohio. And then we're back in Cleveland at the Temple, Masonic Temple. We got Demolition and Effie coming in. So definitely make sure you get your tickets for that.
And that mystery person I told you about that you forgot about.
Yes, I can't wait to get off this and remember who that was. So yeah, grab your tickets for all that stuff. Join the Patreon. Any sponsorships, check out Jim at AIWrestling.com. We can always use any type of sponsorship. We're looking to work with all kinds of different brands and stuff. I think that's pretty much it for us. So we'll see everyone next time. Thanks for John Thorne, for AIW, for JGold, the Mysterious Benefactor Brothers. Thanks.
See ya.